Authorities have identified Ryan Wesley Ruth, age 58, as the primary suspect in the shooting against former President Donald Trump. Now, this second photo appears to be, I believe this is when he was arrested this afternoon and apprehended. I cannot confirm that that second photo is the case, but for sure this is him. Now, during the press briefing this afternoon where the police and the Secret Service spoke, they actually revealed a picture. Here is a clearer image. You can see his backpack. There you can see the GoPro attached to the fence. Now, he fled away in a black Nissan, and he was pulled over on I-95. That's where he was detained. Now, we do know that Ryan Wesley Ruth did donate to Democrats. So we see here all of his contributions, and you can see he's donated to Act Blue at least over a dozen times in small dollar amounts, but a pretty regular donor. Now, what doesn't add up here to me, and I don't want to get conspiratorial, so I'm just going to go over the facts, but my question is, what are the odds, right? So the shooter is actually not unknown to the media, and he's not unknown to DC. In fact, I wouldn't be surprised if the FBI later admits that he was on their radar. So this guy has been profiled by the New York Times. He's been featured in Newsweek. He's been featured in Semaphore. Like, this guy has a pretty big footprint, especially when it comes to foreign affairs and when it comes to the military. So this is a New York Times profile on him. In an interview, Mr. Lackey said he had lied about being a U.S. Marine so he could join the Legion. With Legion growth stalling, Ryan Ruth, a former construction worker from Greensboro, North Carolina, and to clarify, he's also from Hawaii. I believe he actually lives in Hawaii right now, if I'm not mistaken, is seeking recruits from among Afghan soldiers who fled the Taliban. Mr. Ruth, who spent several months in Ukraine last year, said he planned to move them, in some cases illegally, from Pakistan and Iran to Ukraine. He said dozens had expressed interest. So he had actually, he's for the war in Ukraine, so that could be a motive, because Trump wants world peace. He wants the war between Russia and Ukraine to end quickly. So maybe this guy, that could be a motive. Maybe he is against Trump's policies in regards to the war in Ukraine. The New York Times profile isn't all, though. Semaphore talked more about Ruth's efforts to recruit people for the war. Take a look at this.
Ukraine is reluctant to be cooperative.
That's Ryan Ruth, a U.S. citizen who set up the International Volunteer Center in Ukraine to help connect foreigners to Ukrainian military units.
Now I'm talking to over 100 soldiers every day, and pretty much everybody, all of my contacts in Ukraine, they were adamant and pretty much yelled at me every time that I suggested that we bring in Afghans.
The Ukrainian government didn't respond to our request for comment, but a source close to the officials in Kyiv told Semaphore that their top concern is the question of loyalty in the thick fog of war.
The biggest thing is spies. They're afraid that anybody and everybody is a Russian spy.
So we do know he is connected to Ukraine in that aspect. There's actually video of him trying to recruit soldiers, trying to recruit people to fight for Ukraine. Here's image of him doing just that.
Well, the Ukrainians have a right to fight back.
I don't do paper, though.
I don't care if you do paper or not. I'm looking for revolutionaries. I'm looking for people who want to take this whole system down.
Bro, I'm a veteran. Like, do you need me?
What kind of veteran are you?
Bro, I served in Nuketown.
Well, I think it's better to serve and fight in the powers, over the system.
Bro, give me a Glock and a Hellcat.
Take a look at this.
Bro, but I don't do paper, though. I just told you that.
Come on, dude, then get away. We don't need people who aren't serious. If you're not serious,
I'm serious, but I don't do paper, bro. You're literally killing the environment.
We're moving on. You go ahead, have your lunch.
No, bro, I'm going to class.
Go
I'm a scholar.
Go to class.
Ruth himself has posted on social media. This is him on his Twitter account, POTUS, at POTUS. Your campaign should be called something like KADAF, Keep America Democratic and Free. Trump should be MASA, Make Americans Slaves Again, Master. Democracy is on the ballot. Sounds familiar. So we do know he's donated to the left. We do know he's donated to Act Blue. And now he's saying democracy is on the ballot. So it sounds like he's also been radicalized by the language on the left. And we cannot lose. We cannot afford to fail. The world is counting on us to show the way. And that is not all. So aside from the New York Times profile, the Semaphore profile, the video of him, trying to recruit people, there was footage of him taken by Newsweek in Ukraine, on the ground in Ukraine.
Please tell me who you are and why are you here?
I'm 56 from the U.S. From North
This is two years ago, which is why he's saying 56 when we know he's 58.
Carolina originally, so I live in Hawaii now, so flew all the way from Hawaii here. So the question as far as why I'm here, to me, you know, a lot of the other conflicts are gray, but this conflict is definitely black and white. This is about good versus evil. This is a storybook, you know, any movie we've ever watched, this is definitely evil.
So again, obviously the same Ryan Wesley Ruth that I showed you earlier in the footage, and you can see, I imagine, I'm not a military expert, I imagine that's some sort of bulletproof vest that he's wearing. If someone can inform me, correct me in the comments below, that would be great. Edward Snowden of WikiLeaks has compiled pictures from Ruth's social media accounts, as well as just him in public and promoting the efforts in Ukraine. Here is one other social media post from Ruth where he calls out Tulsi Gabbard. You are an idiot. Why don't you go and join Putin and Trump and be their third leg? Please leave me. Please leave Hawaii. You embarrass me. Shut your stupid mouth. There is a war where people are getting slaughtered for no reason. I'm going to fight and die for Ukraine. So this sounds like someone who is radicalized as far as Ukraine, radicalized as far as the left's language, as far as democracy being on the ballot. Now, a lot of people are wondering, how could this happen? How could this guy get on Trump's golf course? Now, again, a lot of I am not weaving a conspiracy web. I'm just showing you facts that to me aren't adding up. You know, what are the odds of a would-be assassin, you know, being featured in the New York Times, Newsweek, Semaphore, and all these other outlets? And then what are the odds that he would get onto Trump's golf course at just the right time? So I personally checked this myself. So Trump's golf outing wasn't on his public schedule at all. So how did Roth know that he was going to be there? And a lot of people are asking, how did this happen? Well, apparently Trump wasn't given perimeter Secret Service because he's not the sitting president. So during the press conference today, the excuse was, well, you know, he is a candidate, so we have people on the course, but the reason there weren't people around the course protecting the perimeter is because he's not the current sitting president. Here's what they said.
How was this able to happen, and for future reference, is there any other security of the golf course?
Well, you got to understand the golf course is surrounded by shrubbery, so when somebody gets into the shrubbery, they're pretty much out of sight. All right, and at this level that he is at right now, he's not the sitting president. If he was, we would have had this entire golf course around it. Well, because he's not, the security is limited to the areas that the Secret Service deems possible. So I would imagine that the next time he comes to the golf course, there'll probably be a little bit more people around the perimeter.
Now, one more thing. A local cop gave an interview after Ruth was arrested, and he gave some interesting details as to his behavior, which I think really gives insight into his state of mind. And again, I think authorities and investigators are going to use this as they investigate motive, whether or not he acted alone, whether or not, you know, this is part of a larger scheme. Here's what the local officer had to say.
We whisked nobody away. There was a lone driver in the vehicle. That driver is now in custody in the hands of the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
What was his demeanor, Sheriff, when you approached the car?
The suspect's demeanor I would describe as having a relatively calm, flat, affected, was not displaying a lot of emotion, never asked what is this about. Obviously, law enforcement with long rifles, blue lights, a lot going on, never questioned it.
Was he armed at the time, or he or she?
He was not armed when we took him out of the car. Of course, we didn't do a search, and I would suspect that they're getting a search warrant now. The FBI will take that car. We will transport it for them back to Palm Beach County into their office.
Of course, we're going to get a lot more information in the coming days about Ryan Wesley Ruth, his motivation, and just more about his profile. But, you know, what's really alarming is that the media is already at it again. It hasn't even been 12 hours since a second assassination attempt, and by second, I mean, you know, second time of shots being fired. There have been other threats, right? When Trump visited the border, Iran putting out the hit. There have been many, many credible threats that we know about publicly, and then I'm sure there are others that we don't know about. But as far as shots being fired, this is, to my knowledge, the second one. And again, it hasn't even been 12 hours, and the MSNBC is already calling for the Trump campaign to tone down the rhetoric. Hello, Trump is the one who's the victim here. It's, if anything, it should be the Democrats toning down the rhetoric. Here's what they said on MSNBC.
Yeah. Do you expect there to be calls from within the Trump campaign to do that? Because he's going to reach out to his supporters and say, let's take this down. We do not know, again, the source of any gunshot or gunshots. We don't know who's responsible for this. The whole thing has yet to be 100% confirmed from start to finish how this all played out. But do you expect to hear anything from the Trump campaign about toning down the rhetoric, toning down the violence, or would that be atypical of the former president?
So, I mean, it just unreal. Talk about blaming the victim. And we know now that this guy, Ruth, was not a Republican. He's donated to the Democrats. He's all for Ukraine. On a separate MSNBC segment, they actually tried to connect this somehow to January 6th.
And I don't think that it could be understated the gravity of this here. We're talking about 2 attempted assassination attempts. We know from our conversations with people, voters, Americans on the ground, that there are fears of violence, further violence in the country. And where is the United States heading here? We have heard talk of potential civil war. We have watched January 6th unfold and the willingness of thousands of individuals to go and attack police officers. We have watched members of Congress be shot at. We have watched now a former president of the United States, apparently 2 attempted assassinations. And it is a cause for alarm and concern. We saw in the immediate aftermath of the Butler, Pennsylvania attack, Donald Trump went to the Republican National Convention. And
that's not all. Lindsay Davis, who hosted this past week's presidential debate, talked about the assassination attempt and then immediately pivoted to talk about the Haitian migrants in Springfield, Ohio.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air. Shots fired at Donald Trump's golf club in Florida as a former president was nearby. The Secret Service opening fire after spotting a man with an assault-style rifle. One suspect is now in custody. The former president is safe. The details just coming in from West Palm Beach. The Secret Service treating this as a threat against the former president. Agents have detained a suspect and have recovered a weapon. This comes 2 months after the former president survived an assassination attempt in Butler, Pennsylvania. Pierre Thomas and Mary Alice Parks lead tonight's coverage. Also tonight, Springfield, Ohio on edge. Local schools are being threatened with violence, and a college shuts down activities after threats were made following the baseless rumors that Haitian immigrants have been eating pets. Republican vice presidential candidate J.D. Vance defends spreading.
Yeah, so let's talk about Trump's the assassination attempt on Trump, and then immediately, criticize Trump's rhetoric about the migrant situation, the migrant crisis, which they are bringing attention to in Springfield, Ohio. Last but not least, Lester Holt said some pretty astonishing things.
Today's apparent assassination attempt comes amid increasingly fierce rhetoric on the campaign trail itself. Mr. Trump, his running mate J.D. Vance continue to make baseless claims about Haitian immigrants in Ohio.
Again, blame the victim. They just have to pivot. They can't even focus on the violence that is being perpetrated against a former president, not just one time now, but twice. And again, there have been other schemes, right? When he visited the border, and like I said, the Iranian plot. But of course, this shouldn't be a surprise. These are the same networks. MSNBC previously had on Senator Claire McCaskill, who compared Trump to Mussolini and Hitler.
A lot of people have tried to draw similarities between Mussolini and Hitler and the use of the terminology like vermin and the drive that those men had towards autocracy and dictatorship.
I mean, come on. If you're going to compare Trump to Mussolini and Hitler over and over and over again, then don't be surprised if people on the left get radicalized by this and take action. Last but not least, House Representative Jasmine Crockett, who is a sitting Congresswoman, called Trump supporters a threat to America.
right now, I feel like MAGA in general, they are threats to us domestically. And we see it time and time again. And I think that's why you see so many national leaders, whether they're Republicans or Democrats, coming together to say there is only one person qualified to be the commander-in-chief, and that is Kamala Harris.
No question. So I do think a lot of this is interesting. I'm very alarmed by all of this. Not just the media reaction, but the media, reverting back to their old ways, reverting back to their old habits. And again, what are the odds that this person would have been profiled by the New York Times, Semaphore, Newsweek, and all these other outlets before he, attempted to murder a former president? What are the odds of that? Not making any accusations. I'm not trying to spread any conspiracy theories, but those are just the facts. And something doesn't smell right. And usually when there's smoke, there's a fire. And I hope that in the coming days, we will get facts, we will get truth, and we will get transparency from those investigating this. And it's up to us to hold our leaders accountable. It's up to us to demand better and to demand nothing but the truth, so that this sort of thing doesn't happen again. And by the way, not just for Republicans, but for anyone in office. Violence has no place in our way of government, truly. But as always, that is my analysis, my commentary, and I would love to know yours in the comments below. What do you think? Do you think it's odd that this guy has been interviewed by so many mainstream outlets? I mean, truly, what are the odds? Do you think he was radicalized by the left-wing media talking points? Do you think it was his love for Ukraine and his support for Ukraine? Let me know your theories down in the comments below. Of course, we'll know more in the days to come. If you haven't already, please be sure to give me a thumbs up. I know it's a simple thing to ask, but it really does help me in the algorithm to reach more viewers like you. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and to check out some of these videos.